Hello, everyone. My name is Brandon Johnson, and for my producer podcast, I chose Eddie Kramer. Eddie was born April 19th, 1942, in Cape Town, South Africa. Here he studied classical piano at the South African College of Music, where he became fascinated by jazz and rock music. At the age of 19, he followed his parents to London, where his engineering and production talents began to take hold. In London, he took on many jobs involving music, such as recording jazz groups in his home studio, installing hi-fi equipment, and working with the Soho Record Center, installing album playback systems. Eddie's career as an engineer began at Advision Studios in 1962, at the young age of 20 years old. 1 year later, he was hired by Pi Studios, where he assisted on many classical works, as well as groups like the Kinks, the Searchers, the Undertakers, Petula Clark, and Sammy Davis Jr. In 1964, Kramer founded KPS Studios, a mono and two-track facility which was acquired by Regent Sound in 1965, where the Rolling Stones had recorded their first album. This was not in vain, though, because Regent Sound took Eddie on board to oversee the construction of their new four-track Studio A. Here, the Beatles would record Fixing a Hole, which appears on the album Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. He would then go on to work with them on two more tracks, All You Need Is Love and Baby You're a Rich Man, being recorded at Olympic Studios in Barnes, London. Eddie began to develop a reputation in the rock world, working with the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Traffic, and Small Faces, which would lead him to his first consistent client, Jimi Hendrix. In 1968, Eddie moved to New York to continue work primarily with Jimi. He began at the record plant in New York City, engineering Hendrix's Electric Ladyland LP, while also working with the Vanilla Fudge, Joe Cocker, and NRBQ. During the summer of '69, Kramer and his team were hard at work recording the entire Woodstock Festival in 3 sleepless days that required vitamin B12 shots to keep them going. Jimi would then hire Eddie and architect John Stork to build Electric Lady Studios, taking 13 months' time and $1 million. Eddie then became a permanent member as director of engineering from 1970 to 1974, producing Jimi's posthumous records, as well as Carly Simon's debut album and records for Sha Na Na and Peter Frampton. Through these years, he helped to engineer Johnny Winter's first LP and 5 sequential Led Zeppelin albums, beginning with Led Zeppelin II. He also engineered albums for Lena Horne, Dionne Warwick, and David Bowie's David Live and Young Americans. In 1965, Eddie began a prosperous career with the band Kiss, producing Kiss Alive 2, Double Platinum, Rock and Roll Over, Love Gun, and Alive 3. Not to mention each of the band members' own solo projects. The 80s threw Kramer primarily into the heavy metal scene, where he produced and engineered albums for Fastway, Anthrax, Alcatraz, Raven, Loudness, Triumph, Whitesnake, and Fraley's Comet, just to name a few. In 1992, he co-authored Hendrix, Setting the Record Straight, detailing Kramer's first-hand recollections of his friendship and collaboration with Jimi Hendrix. In 1995, the Hendrix heirs won back Jimi's recordings, which put Eddie back to work co-producing his posthumous albums. During the 2000s, Eddie has worked on many other ventures inspired by the sound and image of Jimi Hendrix. In 2004, he helped Digitech design an effects pedal to emulate Jimi's sound. He has remixed Jimi's albums for classic vinyl and mixed tracks for the Jimi Hendrix Avatar and Activision's Guitar Hero. In 2005, Kramer reunited with John Stork to design Anna Kappa Studios in Malibu, California, as well as helped to design another effects pedal, but this time to emulate Brian May. Known as a rock star photographer, many of Kramer's photos have been exhibited in Santa Monica, Hollywood, Santa Fe, Beverly Hills, and Manhattan. In 2009, he had a Waves audio plug-in bundle released under his name, which replicated his studio touch for recording guitars, drums, vocals, bass, and some special effects. In 2011, 3 more plugins were released: the Kramer Master Tape, the Kramer HLS Channel, and the Kramer Pi Compressor, all released under Waves again. He has worked on the post-production for many films, including a remixed Woodstock, American Masters, Festival Express, and Groupies. From South Africa to Southern California, the Beatles to Kiss, Anthrax to Robert Randolph, Video games to videos, Eddie Kramer has dabbled in it all. With over 700 credits in music, film, video games, plugins, and photography, Eddie has certainly earned the right to be called a producer. Thank you.